Okay, pleasant evening, brothers and sisters. First and foremost, very grateful to Brother Chris for this affinity as the facilitator for this book study. As Brother Chris has actually mentioned just now, this is the first session of chapter 3, the 10 merits, starting from page 310 to 331. A quick recap on the significance of this sutra. The Sutra of Infinite Meanings is the spiritual foundation of Jingsi Dharma lineage and Tzu School of Buddhism. It is an introduction to the Lotus Sutra. In many respects, the Sutra of Infinite Meanings sums up the essence of the Lotus Sutra. As living beings have infinitely varying capacities, the Buddha used an infinite number of teachings. Since there are infinite teachings, their meanings are also infinite. These infinite meanings arise from one vehicle Dharma. And the Buddha taught the Sutra of Infinite Meanings and the Lotus Sutra to eliminate the habitual tendencies humans have accumulated and guide sentient beings to return to the great Bodhi path. The essence of this chapter is the advice to master and practice the teachings of the Sutra, gain the spiritual merit, benefit mankind and the world. The Sutra of Infinite Meanings comes from the royal home of all Buddhas, goes to where sentient beings develop bodhicitta and abides wherever bodhisattva practice. Its 10 merits nurture all living beings. The Buddha did not create this Dharma. It comes from the inmost mind of all the Buddhas of infinite worlds of the past, present, and future. As Buddhas exist outside time and space, everywhere, everywhere. The teaching of the Buddha are the truths of the universe. Such great truths are safeguarded by all Buddhas of the three periods, past, present, and future. The purpose of the teaching is to propel the minds of all mankind to seek the wisdom of the Buddhas. By only hearing it once, one is enabled to uphold all Dharma. When one hears a verse from this sutra, one can learn and understand many principles. This is one of the ways in which sentient beings benefit from this sutra. The analogy is by just studying in detail a grain of sand under the fingernail from the Ganges River, one can know the constituent of all the sand of the Ganges River. Penny trading, one expect thoroughly, one shall realize the whole completely. Sutras are a path. This path is the route for us to walk. The Sutra of Infinite Meanings is the great path leading to enlightenment. It is broad, bright, straight path. Stay on the right course, follow the right principles, and maintain the right perspectives. Then only the microcosm of our lives and the macrocosm of the world will be in a balanced state. Just like the solar system, all planets follow their respective orbital path when going around the sun without colliding with one another. This is the law of nature which keeps the world in harmony. By understanding the source of this Dharma, everyone would be at peace in following the Dharma to walk this great path. If sentient beings hear this sutra, delve into the contents and put it into practice, they can attain unsurpassed Bodhi, Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. The Buddha's mind is as vast as the universe. He treats sentient beings as if they were a part of his own body, family, and children. The suffering of sentient beings is the suffering that the Buddha experiences as his own. His love for all sentient beings in the world is everlasting. This is unconditional living kindness and universal compassion. The Buddha could not bear to let sentient beings suffer. He wanted to liberate all ignorant sentient beings who were living in delusion from suffering. Hence, although the Buddha had already returned to his pure nature and attained enlightenment, he sealed the shape of compassion back to this Saha world and manifested the appearances of a full human life for the sake of educating and guiding sentient beings. The Buddha renounced his royal position and left the palace where he was born to engage in spiritual practice to investigate the causes behind social divisions, the disparity between the wealthy and the poor, and the impermanence of life seen in the process of birth, aging, illness, and death. Eventually, when the Buddha attained enlightenment, he discovered the truth that Buddha nature is the wisdom inherent in all sentient beings and clearly understand the true principles of all things in the universe. Buddha's mind became one with the universe. It was open, spacious, and boundless, peaceful, and at ease. As master, everyone has this intrinsic Buddha nature as clear as the crystal. We used to hear master telling us the mind, the Buddha, and sentient beings are indistinguishable from one another in their nature. This is the equality of all beings that the Buddha wanted to teach us. If liken our mind to a pearl, Buddha is the pearl in its purest form, whereas sentient being is the pearl covered by dirt, the analogy for delusion, afflictions, and ignorance. When the dirt or delusion is removed, they are identical in nature. Buddhas bear the same relation to sentient beings as water does to ice. Ice, like a stone or brick, cannot flow. So long as one remains in a state of delusion, he is like ice. Upon realization, one becomes as exquisitely free as water and flows freely in conformity with the surroundings. There is no ice which does not return to water. When melted or dissolved, they are identical. So there is no difference between ordinary beings and Buddhas except for one thing, delusion. Sentient beings are obstructed by foolishness and ignorance. Therefore, the Buddha taught the Dharma in order to inspire sentient beings to discover their intrinsic nature so that they would no longer be deluded. The Buddha didn't attain Buddhahood overnight. He cultivated for 3 samkhya of eons to reach Buddhahood before manifesting 8 phases of attaining the way as shown on this slide. The first one is descending from Tusita heaven. Number 2, entering the womb. 3, being born. 4, living home and the lay life. 5. Overcoming Mara. 6. Attaining enlightenment. 7. Expounding the Dharma. 8. Entering Nirvana. By manifesting the 8 appearances throughout his lifespan in the human realm, the Buddha set a life example to guide us how he had personally experienced the suffering of this world by going among the people. Fully understood, suffering comes from the karmic forces, eradicated his past conditions so he can come and go freely in this world without bringing karma with him. In this way, the Buddha helped us understand that we intrinsically have Buddha nature and have the potential to attain Buddhahood. If we walk the same path, we will naturally discover our nature of true suchness. After the Buddha had attained enlightenment, he wanted to share with sentient beings his enlightened state of mind is intrinsic to everyone. But because of limited capabilities, sentient beings could not comprehend and accept it immediately. So the Buddha had no choice but to devise various skillful means. The 3 vehicle teachings, small, middle, and great vehicles to adapt to their different capabilities. There are also the human and heavenly being vehicle in addition to the 3 vehicle teachings. But for this session, let's focus on the first 3 vehicle, which serves as expedient means to help sentient beings develop the capacity to understand and receive the 1 vehicle teaching, which unifies and refines the 3 vehicle teachings. The 1 vehicle or Buddha vehicle is the teaching that enables all sentient beings to attain Buddhahood. The analogy is, be it a rivulet, stream, or river, eventually all will converge and flow into the sea, which is likened to the Buddha's ocean of enlightenment wisdom. The 3 vehicles are the teachings expounded for the hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas, respectively. The sheep cart, the deer cart, the great white ox cart are metaphors for hearers, solitary realizer, and bodhisattva, respectively. A cart or vehicle is a means of conveyance. So for the hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas, their individual teachings are their vehicle, their conveyance out of cyclic existence in the 3 realms. The size of the 3 carts reflects the capabilities and aspiration of the practitioners. The 3 vehicles are wondrous provisional teachings because they contain true principles. Small vehicle practitioners are hearers who heard the Buddha Dharma, practice the teachings of the 4 Noble Truths. They may take in the teachings, but due to limited capabilities, they could not realize the Buddha's true Dharma. Afflictions still cover their minds. Their aspiration is only to awaken themselves. Hence, the analogy of a sheep cart that would only take themselves in. They aim to become arhats. Middle vehicle practitioners are solitary realizers who practice the teachings of the 12 links of cyclic existence. Their capabilities are better than the hearers. By self-observation of nature without receiving teachings from a Buddha, they understood true emptiness and the causes and conditions of all phenomena, and realized all things in the world are impermanent, but they lack the compassion to benefit others. Their aspiration is only to engage in internal cultivation and awaken themselves. The deer cut is the analogy for solitary realizer, which could only transport themselves but not other passengers. They aim to attain the state of Pratyeka Buddha. Next, the great vehicle practitioners are bodhisattvas who practice the 6 paramitas, have sharp capabilities and engage in internal cultivation as well as external practices. They form great aspirations and make great vows, put Dharma into practice by walking the bodhisattva path, transforming themselves and others. They are like the great white ox cart that is big enough to carry themselves and others to the state of Buddhahood. Buddha's teachings are timeless, unchanging true principles that are inseparable from the threefold Dharma: the teaching, practice, and realization of the Dharma. The Buddha manifested in the human realm as a role model to guide us to connect to true suchness and attain enlightenment. Through teachings, practice, and realization, we enter the Dharma nature of the great vehicle. This is the door to the Bodhisattva practice of the one vehicle. Firstly, on the teaching of the Dharma, let's watch this video clip.
三法啦，三法呢，第一是教法，佛陀所说的教法啦，都是包括在内。佛陀一生中，不管是方便法啦、真实法啦，说假当空啊，一切呢，拢总是佛陀呢智慧施教的教法。
The Buddha Dharma teaches us the principles of all things and living beings in the world, be it a skillful means or true Dharma. It is all the wisdom of the Buddha. At Tzu we can access the teachings of the Dharma through various channels. Some of the key ones are shown on this slide: Wisdom at Dawn, Essence of the Bodhi Mind, Worldly Bodhi, Volunteers Morning Assembly, and Jingsi Lineage book series. Now let's watch this video clip and on the practice of the Dharma.
第二呢是行法，那以佛陀的教示、教育，甲咱开示，互咱知影讲，法是安尼，名词是安尼啦。但是呢，你来好好修行哦，唔是干那听知就好啊，你要去身体力行。所以教咱进入法的门径，第一呢，就是爱将事体，爱了解实而言，爱实行六度万行，这呢是叫做行法。佛陀呢，甲咱开始安怎行啦这条路，第一站呢，你都爱去了解事体法，这敢毋是我定定伫咧甲大家人讲呢？ 希望定定爱提醒大家苦一遍多啊，还是爱搁甲大家人讲，人生来世间啊，拢是伫这12因缘内底啊，所以世人呢，随业而来，前世人的业牵引啊，来到这世人呢，搁不断地做业，安尼搁流落去的，生老病死，这中间所做的无明业，搁再传落去，所以呢，拢是伫这个无明啊，伫这个12因缘中，安尼伫咧牵引啊，这就是咱的人生啊。既然咱也知影四体12缘，咱就开始会当通发心咯。那发心呢，就是六度万行啊，不惜乞丐忍辱精进，禅定智慧，这就是咱要行菩萨道啦。呀，一条空中的大路，讲咱定定伫咧谈的法啦，其实无离开遮的。那既然谈的法无离开遮的，咱要行修行的路呢，那无离开遮的方法。
Okay, brothers and sisters, just may I check, can you hear the video clearly? Because I forgot to share sound just now. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear very clearly.
Oh, very clearly. Okay, cảm ơn. So as Master has always been reminding us, spiritual cultivation is not only about hearing and understanding the Dharma. We must put the teachings into practice. This is the only way to truly integrate what we have learned. Starting from the Four Noble Truths, then progress to the 12 links of cyclic existence, form aspirations, and walk the Bodhi path by practicing the 6 parameters. Now let's go through briefly on the key points of the Four Noble Truths, the foundation for learning Buddha teachings. This is the most fundamental truth. Life is full of suffering. I should recognize it. There is causation. I should end it. There is cessation. I should attain it. There is the path. I should practice it. The essence is recognizing the suffering and bringing it to cessation by practicing the path. Next, on the key points of 12 links of cyclic existence, sentient beings come into being because of these links. It explains how we come to and go from this world. Each link is based on the principle of cause and effect, which determines one's condition, leading us and pulling us to another link. One ignorant thought initiates these 12 links. Ignorance gives rise to greed, anger, and delusion, which leads us to behave in certain ways and hence leads to relational formation. For example, if we hear unpleasant comments, we will react. This is how conflicts arises. The results of all our good and evil deeds are karmic seeds or causes which are stored in our 8 consciousness, the alaya mind. It lasts forever and flows through the 3 periods, past, present, and future. So the karmic seeds planted in our consciousness in our past life will lead us to a certain pair of parents and a certain place in the present life, hence leading to name, and form. That is when a father's sperm and a mother's egg converge, which will gradually develop into 6 sense organs or 6 entrances. Next, after birth, when the 6 sense organs come into contact with the 6 sense objects of the outside world, this will give rise to sensation or feeling, which leads to craving for things or people, and the desire for possession through grasping. Grasping leads to becoming. The good and bad karma coming into being. The good or bad karmic seeds stored in our egg consciousness in present life will manifest the effects in the future life, going through the cycle of birth, aging, and death. So, past causes or past karma accumulated in previous life manifest the effects in present life. In this life, if we are still in a state of ignorance and continue to create bad karma or causes, the present causes will manifest the effects in our future life. These links drag sentient beings to transmigrate in the 6 realms and the 3 periods. Our future is contained within the causes of our present. We have to look deeply at our actions, speech, and thoughts. Once an ignorant thought arises, the cycle of the links will begin. It is from elimination of ignorance through wisdom gained in our course of spiritual practice that the 12 links can be extinguished. And on a Saturday weekly Dharma talk, Brother Jody mentioned that the 6 parameters can help us to break certain links. Upholding the precepts can guard the 6 sense organs from being influenced by the external conditions when come in contact. If at all the sense organs are affected by external conditions, exercising patience and endurance will curb unwholesome feelings. In the event unwholesome feeling arises, samadhi can help to stop the craving. Upholding precepts can also prevent misconduct arising from craving. If at all grasping occurs, practice giving to let go of attachment. Let's watch this video clip on the realization of the threefold Dharma.
就是正法。有形才有我有情啊，所以你若无去实行啊，你无法度通去体悟，就亲像迄位林医师讲，哦，来到这就知影，无量法门实现在前，通达定慧啊！看，这呢就是爱去行，才有法度通证悟啊，所以。以修行而成得菩提涅槃之果啊！咱若无去实行，互你听较济啦，讲搁较济呢，都无路用。会讲的人，若袂晓去修啦，袂晓去体悟啦，好亲像伫银行咧算银票共款，算搁较济啦，嘛是别人的啦。所以呢，咱知影爱讲爱修吼，所以定人咧讲，主者呢是做你所讲的，讲你所做的。那咱就是爱讲爱修行啊，听嘛都爱修啊。 所以呢，那会当真正走进一条空中的大路，这个心灵的境界啦，咱会则体会会到吼，体会到心灵的风光啦，咱则真正体会会到得菩提涅槃之果。菩提啊，就是觉悟；涅槃呢，就是正直光明，就是正直清净的境界。
Okay, only by engaging in spiritual practice and walking the path to help relieve the suffering of sentient beings that we can experience and comprehend matters and principles. With every experience, we grow in wisdom. This is the only way to attain realization. The spirit is doing what I preach and preaching what I have done is the myriad actions that give rise to myriad virtues. Or else it's likened to the bank teller counting a lot of money, but it all belongs to someone else. The one great vehicle is the door to the Bodhisattva practice. Only by passing through this door can we truly return to our original enlightened nature, the state of tranquility, clarity, and calmness. The Buddha's teachings have always been about uniting matters and principles. Everything in this world is empty by nature and impermanent. There are three principles of four states that apply to all physical objects, living beings, and the mind. The principle of the matter is the process of formation, existence, decay, and disappearance. The bodies of living beings go through the process of birth, aging, illness, and death. The principle of the mind is the four states of arising, abiding, changing, and ceasing. This happens very quickly as some thoughts arise, others immediately cease. Everything in the world, be it physical or mental object, is inseparable from this principle. It arises, changes, and disappears. As long as there is attachment or craving to things that are in a continuous change of condition and impermanent, there will be suffering. Hence, Master has always been advising us to let go of desires, greed, and anger, eliminate ignorance, afflictions, and negative habitual tendencies. Everything in this world is subjected to a limited lifespan. Master always says that no one knows the length of life, but we can expand the depth and broaden the width of our lives to benefit the world for a long time. One classical example is the building of Hualien Hospital that has benefited many lives and more generations to come. However, if we become attached to the concept of emptiness, we will easily become pessimistic and passive. So the Buddha further explained the principle that within true emptiness is wondrous existence. That is the everlasting, unchanging, intrinsic nature of the mind, the Buddha, and all sentient beings. It has no past, present, or future. It has always existed. So it neither arises nor ceases. It neither increases nor decreases. I wish to touch a little bit more on true emptiness and wondrous existence. To begin with, need to go through dependent origination and emptiness nature, which are the fundamental teachings and unique features of Buddhism. It explains the arising and ceasing of myriad dharma of the universe and origin of life. Dependent origination means there is nothing in this world exists independently. Everything in the world is interdependent. For example, we have food to eat because there are farmers farming. Everything in the world arises from the convergence of causes and conditions and is inseparable from the law of cause and effect. There must be a predestined condition between cause and effect for a cause to become an effect. For example, when an apple seed is planted, before it can grow into a tree and bear fruits, this requires the presence of many conditions, such as soil, sunlight, air, water, and fertilizer. Another example is one can only get melons when growing melons and cannot get beans when growing melons. This is, we reap what we sow, the law of cause and effect. All phenomena in the world produced by the convergence of causes and conditions are illusory and false existence without substantive self-nature, because they will disappear when the predestined conditions dissipate, and therefore empty by nature, and nothing is permanent or remaining unchanged. There is this common perception that emptiness is nothingness. But from the perspective of Buddhism, emptiness gives rise to existence. For example, if the cup is not empty, it cannot be filled with water or tea. If the house is not empty, people cannot live in. So this is the meaning of true emptiness giving rise to wondrous existence. The principle of emptiness is the essence of everything in the universe. Our survival depends on emptiness. The nostrils must be empty for air to pass through so that we can breathe. The mouth, intestine, and stomach must be empty for water and food to pass through. If not, we cannot survive. So the significance is the theory of dependent origination shows that the result of everything in the world is caused by cause and condition. Understanding the relationship of cause, condition, effect, and retribution enable us to realize the underlying reason to form good karmic connections in order to improve adverse conditions. And realizing how life will turn out to be are the results of our own doings. What goes around comes around. We should seize the present to correct all past wrongdoings and to cultivate the good. The decision lies with us to change our future for betterment. Our being in itself is true emptiness, our body with wondrous existence, our intrinsic Buddha nature, and wondrous existence in true emptiness. Master has always been reminding us to make good use of our illusory appearance, our limited physical life, to develop the everlasting wisdom life, cultivate the true, and return to our intrinsic nature of true suchness. On the bright side, since nothing in the world is permanent, adverse situation may turn for the better. Therefore, even if we encounter difficulties and setbacks, as long as we have the patience to endure and move on towards the correct life direction, adversity will eventually be over. So impermanence also brings hope to life. Next, wish to touch on the story of the rice banks in Myanmar, which I find it truly inspiring. Cyclone Nagis, which hit Myanmar in 2008, causing massive flood, is the one great cause that made inroad for Tzu Chi to offer help to the disaster survivors. Besides assisting in the home rebuilding efforts, Tzu Chi volunteers provided rice seeds and fertilizers to the farmers for rice replanting, Myanmar's most crucial agriculture commodity. Many of the farmers who received the seeds started the practice of saving a handful of rice every day to donate to others in need, thereby continuing the cycle of great love. It is not just a one-time of relief distribution to Myanmar, but Tzu Chi's relief history in the country has continued till now and will be so in the future. And from the story of the rice bank, we can clearly see that our Tzu Chi brothers and sisters have really been actualizing master's advice after accepting the Buddha's teachings, putting them into practice. Turning the Dharma view for others, helping the disaster survivors understand the karmic law of cause and effect. The suffering was because they did not sow blessings in their past lifetimes, and they could create blessing for the future by helping others, thus inspiring them to realize their richness, awaken the love in their hearts to help the less fortunate. Is really living bodhisattvas in action, feeling the pain of the disaster survivors, empathizing with their suffering, transforming their limited love into great love, sowing the seed of love by going among the masses, and nurturing these seeds by upholding the Buddha's teachings of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, exercising both compassion and wisdom. The disaster victim survivors indeed have been seizing the opportunity to give, saving a handful of rice from each meal, as they understand fully that doing good deeds is something that cannot wait. True, those still living in poverty, they still keep an open mind filled with spiritual wealth. This is a clear manifestation of intangible Dharma by transforming intangible good intentions into tangible giving. This clearly validated what this Jingsi aphorism is quoting. Doing good deeds is not the privilege of the rich, but the right of those with will. When the act of kindness spread from one village to another, the power of kindness expands, creating the ripple effect. When they heard a Jingsi aphorism, they were so reverent, as if they had obtained a precious jewels, and many of them have also become Tzu Chi volunteers. Now let's watch this video clip.
During the epidemic, city volunteers in Myanmar started giving rice and life supplies to families in need. They encouraged people to save a cup of rice on a daily basis, which turned out to be a lifesaver for other families. Volunteers in Yangon initiated a rice banking event for the poor, and 700 rice banks were filled up.
One by one, the rice banks are lining up in the venue where Tzu volunteers hold activities. This is the first non-relief program initiated by Tzu volunteers in Yangon after the pandemic. Many people from different places gathered here for a mission of love.
What we held today was a rice give back event. We didn't expect we would receive so many rice banks. About 700 rice banks were filled up, and nearly 250 people showed up to this event. I never thought that this would get such a response from everyone.
Pouring saved rice into the rice bag. This is the traditional giving habit of the Buddhist Burmese, like Dalte Min, who was injured 5 months ago. Now has no income but can only depend on her daughter doing labor to sustain her family. They still have the habit of saving rice every day.
I am quite sad that I cannot work now, but gladly Gigi had helped us, and that we can help those who have the same suffering as me with our rice saved.
Living with her daughter, Dalte Min stayed at home to recuperate, so her daughter does all the housework. At only 12 years old, her daughter also remembers her reminders before cooking every day.
I thank Tzu for this rice. I will start to save some rice a day in order to help others, and hopefully I can invite my friends to do the same.
Saving rice on a daily basis equates to having kindness on others. The healthy routine started from Yangon had spread to other villages, turning every appreciative receiver to a kind giver.
Okay, spreading the seeds of goodness is the spirit of the Lotus Sutra, and Master has reminded us to bring her hand along when comforting the suffering people. Buddha Dharma teaches us the ways of living in this world. In our spiritual practice, Master's constant reminder and advice to us is apply Buddha Dharma in our daily living and serve as living bodhisattvas in the world. We are really not lacking of spiritual tools to guide us in walking the bodhisattva path. At times, I find there are indeed many to remember. So what I'm mindfully paying attention to every day is on these three aspects of the mind, speech, and action. Do good deeds, speak kind words, and think good thoughts in my daily interaction with others. To me, it's easy to remember 9 words all in, yet very profound and significant. This is the Dharma I practice daily. Recognizing the importance of purifying the mind. Every day before big time, I have been adopting this little cleansing process by visualizing all the unwholesome thoughts and feelings being put in the recycle bin and being deleted permanently. The mind may or may not be purified entirely in this way, but at least to train it not to accumulate and pile up the toxin on daily basis, or or visualizing the peeling of the 5 poisons layer by layer from the onion, which have actually covered our intrinsic Buddha nature, or doing vacuum cleaning of the mind. Let the perfect mirror of our mind encompasses the universe without any attachment. When all external phenomena disappear, the mind remains clean and clear. Brothers and sisters, this is the last slide of my sharing for tonight. Thank you very much for your attention. Wishing all brothers and sisters attaining the state of this sutra verse, the essence of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. With minds tranquil and clear, vast as the universe, remain unwavering for countless kalpas. Infinite Dharma doors readily appear. Attain great wisdom and completely understand all Dharma. Cảm ơn